If you're looking for a perfect everyday bag that is light, durable, versatile, and hip for the summer, don't miss out on the newest addition to the Knack Bag family of products, the Knack Sling Bag.
Yes, in a season full of ugly bucket hats, bootleg t-shirts, and board shorts, the Knack Sling Bag will make you the talk of the beach. It's everything you need in a fanny pack, but improved in a million different ways. It's lightweight, endlessly expandable, and stylish as all get out. Yes, indeed, the Knack Sling Bag is the perfect companion for every adventure.
Check out the link in the description to order yours with free shipping on all orders. Thanks to our friends at Knack for sponsoring this episode. If you get a Knack Bag, don't forget to post it on social and tag us at ETB Sports. We want to see you enjoying your Knack Bag.
This is Empty the Bench with Tom Albano.
Everything has now come back to bite you in the ass, and guess what? If Deshaun doesn't get a year, guys, you're going to hate me for this. Oh, fucking well.
Nick Morgeson. The day that LeBron, Westbrook, and Davis pledge unity is the day that I shit chocolate. And Nick Federa.
Because he is the absolute worst representative that Major League Baseball could have right now. He sucks worse than Bud Selig did. And you gotta try. You have to try to suck that bad.
Empty the Bench starts now.
I'm going to discover a theorem that makes time travel possible before Rob Manfred actually gets his head out of his ass and does something good for this goddamn sport.
The day that will just simply never come. Welcome to episode 145 of Empty the Bench. Nick Federa, Nick Morgeson, I'm Tom Albano. I shouldn't say never, because gentlemen, well, just to run through everything we're going to be talking about today, we're going to be talking about more trade deadline stuff. We're going to talk in MLB. We're going to be talking about Nick Castellanos and the reporter getting into quite the confrontation. What, did he just hit another home run?
Yep. By the way, hello, time travelers.
That rant is going to follow me till I'm an elderly retiree.
We're going to talk a bunch of Cardinals stuff because they are the third team in like a month that are going to lose star players to Toronto. We're going to talk about Kyler Murray's new contract and his new homework clause, like he's a student again. And we're going to talk about this Kevin Durant, Jaylen Brown deal that got shot down that made Nick Morgeson very angry when he first heard about it.
I mean, it's not as bad as shitting chocolate from last week, but it's bad.
So is it this week? Is it nougat?
And you never know. You never know. Maybe I'm shitting shamrocks.
Well, speaking of Irish, speaking of shamrocks, we're going to start this episode off with somebody who has an Irish name. And it's funny, guys. I just mentioned before when they were talking about Manfred, like, oh, the day Manfred does something good for the sport. You know, that's a day that'll never come. Well, as a professional wrestling fan, I didn't think this day would ever come. I thought the day that this happened was the day Vince McMahon kicked the bucket. But no, Vince McMahon has officially announced his retirement as CEO and chairman of WWE in a story that just, over this last week, completely evolved or devolved, depending on how you want to look at it. And honestly, guys, the story will probably continue to go in that direction throughout the next couple of weeks.
Is this worse, or if you had to pick between the Deshaun and the Vince McMahon saga, which one would you say is worse?
Deshaun, because that's lasted more than a year.
Yeah, that's lasted more than a year. But
granted, Vince's allegations go back decades, but the Deshaun thing we've been following for the past year, and maybe, just maybe, we're finally going to get a decision this week because training camps are now starting back up.
Just wait, you're going to get the Friday night news dump, I'm telling you.
Just like how this was. So let's try to go piece by piece here. So Friday afternoon at about 4:05, 5 minutes after the stock exchange closed here in New York, as all the businesses were starting to close down, and 4 hours before SmackDown goes on the air, Vince McMahon makes a tweet. This isn't even an in-ring segment. It's a tweet where he announces his retirement, saying that at the age of 77, it was time to go. Thanked all the fans. And did like when he made that random appearance on Raw, on SmackDown, the then, now, forever, together. Together forever.
You know what I'm thinking right now as that tweet is going up? Him trying to put out a tweet on social media. Ah, damn it. What am I going to tweet out to say that I'm retiring? And I'm saying, F everybody. All right, I'm going to tweet out at the age of 77 that I'm officially retired and I don't need anybody and screw everybody. Tweet.
And that's probably, he has a giant tweet button on his phone that he probably had specially made.
No, instead of a tweet button, it says "damn it" on the button, and he just presses it.
I think it was just another one of these damn interns.
and better yet, every time he hits a button, damn it, every time, just
yeah. It's like a fart machine, but still, I mean,
no, it would be take an easy button, write "damn it" on it, and every time he needs to do something, just press the "damn it" button.
Yeah, but refresh my memory. How much money are they now saying that he was using towards settling all these allegations?
It started with the first story with the woman that was being passed around as like a toy between him and John Laurinaitis. That was $3 million. Then it went to $12 million when they found all those other NDAs. And that was the story with 4 women, one of them being the original woman, another one of them being the $7.5 million, the woman who got demoted and fired in 2005.
Advances.
Yeah, the advances. And now we're at $14.5 million. Well, let me reword it. Basically, actually, let me not go there first. Let me go back. Let me stay with the CEO and chairman. So he has resigned as CEO and chairman of WWE. And that's the weird thing. This new story by the Wall Street Journal, yes, there is a new story. We'll get into that in a second. Says it's a resignation. WWE has put it as a retirement. However, he is still the remaining controlling shareholder. He holds 80% of the vote. Basically, the best way I can describe it, at least from my interpretation might be wrong from what I'm understanding, is like, say Nick Khan wanted to sell the company, basically Vince would still have to have the final say on that. At anything public market, because WWE is a public traded company, Vince still needs to have a say on.
So the only thing...
This seems to me like a retirement at the end of a shotgun. Is that?
Well,
no.
Let's be honest. He's retiring because he should have retired because of his age. WWE fans will say should have retired because of the product that was being brought out, but he's retiring because of these allegations.
He's not really being kicked out. He's losing a title in legality because, like you said, he's still technically the lead investor. He still has control over the board. He's only lost a title, and you know this from, and I know this from being...
Technically, Stephanie, as the new chairwoman, is the owner. Runs the board.
Can we just be honest, though? It's the family that is running the WWE. It doesn't matter whether you say Vince or Stephanie or whoever you want to say is in charge.
So this is the thing that we've talked about last week. How much of a say is Vince really going to have? The problem... So last week we kind of implied that Vince will always be whispering in people's ears. The problem you have, which leads us to the story that came out over the past few days, rather, from Variety and the new story from the Wall Street Journal, which implies that apparently the WWE have had to rework their books from over the last few years to make up for $14 or so million that was...
That's the number. That's the number of the money that supposedly he was paying off these victims.
So they have been arguing this whole time. Not arguing, but they've been saying this whole time that, everything came out of Vince's personal funds. But if they came out of your personal funds, why are you reworking your books? Unless the theory Brian Alvarez of Figure 4 has been talking about, which is basically them saying, hey, since she was kind of an unnecessary hire, technically she was on our books, and she had a title and everything, but because you only hired her so you could, do it with her. Basically, hey, we want that $14 million back now.
You have to be very careful when you're doing the books. It doesn't matter if it's for a huge business like the WWE or if it's a small everyday business, like especially during COVID, when these small businesses were taking PPP loans during COVID, it counts against your books, even though government is giving you money. You had to keep a separate line, I think, for the PPP loan. So what's happening now is Vince might have paid that money individually, but he put it up against the WWE books, and now it's finally being caught.
Well, because she was being paid a normal salary like any other employee.
But he was basically taking the money out from under them, like giving a kid candy and taking the candy away.
So, I thought you were going to say something. Nick.
It's not really a candy. It's more of a here's a toy because sorry we abused you kind of thing.
So 40 years after he took over his father's then Worldwide Wrestling Federation, Vince McMahon is out, and because of this, well, let me go to the transition. 40 years since he took over his father, and 30 years since the feds came on him for the steroid trial. And now, once again, according to the Wall Street Journal, he is now under investigation because of this little screw up by the federal government.
You don't
the
think
SEC, to be exact.
Yeah.
You don't think that the feds like keep him on speed dial just to watch everything that's going on, the way he's running that organization?
You guys have seen The Wolf of Wall Street, right?
Yes.
No.
There's a very specific scene in it. Well, I'll say it for your benefit, Nick. There's a scene where Jordan Belfort, the character played by Leo DiCaprio, is offered a deal by the SEC, leave the company, leave Stratton Oakmont, and then the SEC fucks off till the end of time, I believe was the line. So I would imagine that Vince took that thinking that the SEC was going to leave him alone, but his troubles don't stop there, unfortunately. Because
I don't think that's the
under
case.
Investigation, right?
But wait a minute. I don't think that's the case, because if the Fed was offering him a deal to basically walk away, you would have heard about it.
Correct. And also, because remember, guys, remember what he did after that first Wall Street Journal? He basically came out on SmackDown, had that very weird, unnecessary appearance, went backstage, said, fuck him. Vince is not the kind of guy to just go away. This is our answer to what caused him to just run away. And here it is. Because Vince, I think, finally realizes that if he stays around, it's just going to cause more trouble for his company.
And you know what? Deshaun should be watching this and saying, oh shit, if I could lose all my money and my fortune and my reputation, maybe I should be a little more cognizant of what I'm doing.
So
I think Vince kind of willingly pissed it away, though, because again, we as a collective, I'm saying, have kind of looked the other way at all the crazy, immoral shit that he's done over the past 30 years.
Again, it's like what I said a couple weeks ago.
Because of Vince the character, like I say.
Not just him, but because it's wrestling. It's silly. It's wrestling.
It's silly. Who cares about wrestling?
And again, I will make my point like I did a couple weeks ago. I don't care if it's a character or not. It's still serious what's going on here.
Oh, yeah, it's absolutely serious. That's my point.
And again, and this isn't 1992. This isn't 1990. It's 2022. You can't do any of the stuff that he was able to get away with anymore. It finally all caught up to him.
You will be found out.
And honestly, Nick, sorry, but one thing, because we're talking about him being in the ear of everybody, being in the ear trying to, with something like this, I don't know if that's capable anymore. This finally might have done it, that he's done. He's out.
And you know what? And Nick and I have had this conversation, and I'm sure we've all had this conversation. Mm-hmm. I'm the one who hates cancel culture for certain aspects, because certain things, like in the comedy world, canceling people is getting kind of effed up and stupid. But in this case, he deserves to be canceled for half the shit that he's done.
I mean, it's not really cancel culture. It's more consequence culture. I keep saying, because you keep doing these things and trying to sweep them under the rug.
Look at it, guys. He's under investigation by the feds for the second time in a 30-year span.
I'll give you another theory. I think that the family finally said, look, Vince, you might want to step away and let all the media and everything die down, and then we'll figure out what's happening afterwards. But we're telling you, step away and let the saga die down.
Correct.
You're working under the assumption that he doesn't wear the pants in that situation.
again, I think part of Vince does realize he needs to, because when in the 90s, guys, when he was under the steroid trial, he did have sort of a plan where this gentleman, Jerry Jarrett, who actually is a longtime historical promoter down south, was going to basically oversee things if Vince had to go to jail for the steroid trial. But the thing is, Vince is going to be 77 in August. He can't really do this anymore. It's finally time to step aside.
And by the way,
and this is not, and sorry, Nick, but I'm just saying, with how this story unfolded and is continuing to unfold, this may not be a wait until next year when the heat dies down and then you come back. This might be it.
Well, that was just a theory, but at the same time, I just hope we don't hear the excuse, the old man theory. I hope they don't try to pull that one out. Well, he's 77 years old. He doesn't know any better. I swear if I hear that theory, I'm going to lose my mind.
Oh, he absolutely knows better. And you know what? I think it's time to find out what wrestling looks like without Vince McMahon. You've had ample time to think of a scenario to prepare for what life would be like without him. Well, and now it's time to put those plans into effect.
Guess what? Well, we had a fear that, maybe everything descends into chaos. But if you look at the statements that have been coming out, we have a plan. So his daughter, Stephanie McMahon, is now the chairwoman and the co-CEO, along with Nick Khan. Guys, Nick Khan came into the WWE as a head executive 2 years ago, and he's already the co-CEO of this company.
He was an agent for a few years.
He was a Hollywood agent, yes.
And now all of a sudden, now he's going to be co-CEO with Stephanie McMahon. What is going on here?
And over the last few days, we have come to find out that Paul Levesque, the same day that actually the retirement came, Paul Levesque, who all of you in the mainstream world might know better as Triple H, is now back as the executive vice president of talent relations, replacing John Laurinaitis, who I assume he was last placed on administrative leave. I assume he's just not coming back at all.
Probably they're fucked off.
If Vince is gone, he's gone.
Yeah, he's probably gone.
But you know what, though? And I just wanted to say, Triple H, who almost died of a triple bypass.
Yeah, let me explain the craziness, guys. So, Triple H was the overseer for NXT, the WWE developmental. They tried to, in the wake of AEW, they tried to make NXT this really, innovative thing, treat it like a major league, like a Raw and SmackDown. They lose the war. They basically say, okay, we're going to take this away from you now. He ends up having the heart attack. Nearly dies. Triple bypass surgery. Like you said, nearly dies, this man.
On the operating table, almost.
Right. And he goes away. Actually, in late April or early May, Stephanie herself went away to take care of her family. There was an insider article that basically buried her on the way out. And now both of those two are leading the company. Stephanie as the chairwoman and Paul Levesque, Triple H, is now the EVP of talent relations and the head of creative, the guy who's going to be writing helping produce all the storylines and stuff. Now, to your credit about your idea last week, Nick, there are some, let's call them Vince yes men still around. Kevin Dunn, who leads all the production, all the crazy camera cuts you see, he's still there. Bruce Pritchard, who was temporarily leading creative and talent relations, he's still there. And that's the one little curiosity about. And I love Hunter and the culture that he has tried to create, because I watched NXT when he was leading it. I loved it more than I liked the actual main roster. Basically, it is a little weird and a little conflict of interesty. And it goes for Pritchard, too, when he was temporarily overseas, that the head of creative and the head of talent relations, which is, by the way, your HR, are the same person. That does raise a little bit of an eyebrow.
I'll tell you right now, I think the WWE will be in a much better place without Vince tugging on the strings.
I will say, though, as someone who has watched the product for the last years, I believe more in a Triple H and Stephanie and Nick Khan product than I do a Vince McMahon product. And I think basically, it's like I told you guys in our little meeting before the show, I think everyone's going to have their role. Like, Nick Khan is good at business. He was the agent. He's going to handle the business side of things. Stephanie, she is the, philanthropy is a new form of marketing, so she'll be the philanthropy, the branding, marketing person. Triple H, like we kind of implied, he's going to be overseeing the in-ring product, the storylines, the television production. Everyone's going to have their role, I think.
Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Stephanie, but that's just my opinion on the matter. I don't know. I don't like the whole thing. I don't like some of the way the storylines are done. That's just me. But it is what it is. WWE has a market. I can't deny it.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right. So, and again, this story is going to continue to evolve. We now have a report from Fightful, which is a leading wrestling, wrestling
news organization.
News organization. Yes, thank you. That actually, you know what? I'm just going to read right from the report, not the full report, but just the tweet that went out. Let me try to pull that up here. It's the one that I read to you right before we went on the air, Nick. Here it is. That apparently Vince McMahon needed filtering during WWE creative meetings that ranged from Vince saying things that would appear sensitive or offensive to, quote, "Oh God, what did he just say?" moments, all the way to simple kayfabe thing. In other words, things where, like when I say kayfabe, in other words, what goes on inside the ring, like, on fourth wall.
So that's why he's out, and that's why.
In other words, like, no, not so much that. I mean, the Fed investigating is why he's out, but there's going to be more. This is not the end.
Great. I just wish he would go away and like disappear at this point.
All right, let's talk some baseball. And Nick, you actually want to start us off with a little something different here.
Right. So I was talking. Well, actually, I can't say that. I was talking to someone I know as a source. That was tipping me off on a story. We were talking about the Yankees and Juan Soto last week.
Mm-hmm.
So, excuse me, if you want to throw that source up on the screen. So, according to a source, the Yankees, really want Soto and Volpe going to be the centerpiece of the deal. Now,
according to the source, the Nationals supposedly really, really love Volpe.
So, just so you know, we don't get this very often. This is a direct source. We don't have to quote anybody for it. This source came in directly to us to tell us what this is.
And I really hope this doesn't end up like Ahmed Rosario, where it doesn't take 6 months to realize, hey, we were right in the long run.
You know what? I was technically right in the long run when it happened.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm just hoping it doesn't take 6 months for that to happen.
So I was, since we're bringing this up, I was going to go right to Castellanos first, but let's talk about some stuff with the trade deadline. So trade deadline is 1 week from yesterday, 6 days away, August 2nd. We got Juan Soto, Andrew Benintendi, and Shohei Ohtani as kind of the big pieces, the big rumor mills.
The can you get them people?
Yes.
This is that time of the year where you spin the big wheel of fortune and you try to figure out, all right, I want this person, and then you realize it's the lottery and you only have 1 in 300 million chance to get one.
Well, you know what? A lot of baseball fans, myself included, are that desperate where we'll just go, you know what? There are 299 million chances that I don't get hit by lightning. Let's spin that wheel.
So basically, this Soto saga is just going completely off the rails. Last week, actually, this came out after we had recorded, after our episode aired. But apparently, what we talked about last week with that one A's player that was forced, that basically rode with the Astros on the charter because
Paul Blackburn.
Well, apparently, it also happened to Soto. After he rejected the $440 million offer, Soto himself was denied a charter and had to fly basically by himself commercially.
Okay. And I'm going to say this in the nicest way possible. He's your all-star representative. And you're going to make him fly commercial. Now, don't get me wrong. These guys are worth millions of dollars. And if they wanted to pay for their flight, they could. He's your representative. You have zero. You have nothing.
So that, you know what that tells me, Nick? This kind of situation? I don't care who's trying to buy the Nationals and what they want. This relationship is severed. He is going to be moved by August 2nd.
And you know what?
No way.
And you know what? This hurts the Nationals more than it hurts Soto. Soto won the home run derby. He looked great during the All-Star week.
And you know what, Nick? and part of this goes what we were talking about last week about Soto and rejecting that off. Soto knows he's going to get paid. Soto
He
knows
he'll get the
he's
money.
going to be a big free agent. It's in a couple of years' time. What he wants is he wants to go to a contender. He doesn't want to wait and then hopefully maybe in 10 years the Nationals rebid when he's already going to be losing his prime. He wants it now.
Well,
and he wants it for multiple years.
Now,
he don't want to. I'm saying he doesn't want to wait for a rebuild.
Now, I totally understand. I get it when a team is bad. Look at Mike Trout. But my point is that I'm still upset and frustrated over the fact 2.5 years left on a contract. You should not be allowed to ask out like that.
Again, it's giving. I understand it's the Carmelo Anthony effect, but again, Soto has that kind of leverage where he is that good, he is that young, where he can pretty much. He knows, he's well aware of the fact that everyone in the league would give up their left and right nuts to get a.
But that's not the point. That's not the point. Why did you sign the long-term contract or whatever you did in the first place? You played the contract out that you're in.
Yeah, Soto
he's still on his rookie deal.
All right, fine. But my point is, when you're on the rookie contract, you're supposed to play the rookie contract out.
Are you? Since there's no regulation against it.
Yeah, actually, that's not true. Alonso was stuck in that situation.
But Nick, he also knows he does not, like you mentioned, he doesn't want to be a Mike Trout or a Bryce Harper where their careers might be tainted a little because they're going to be stuck on losing teams forever. How long?
All right, but Mike Trout kind of took.
I mean, in Harper's defense, he left the Nationals,
and the Nationals won the World Series after.
So maybe he was the World.
Yeah, but the one difference I was going to say is Mike Trout was dumb enough to sign a 12-year contract for whatever the money was.
And I'm sure he doesn't want that to happen to him. But to be honest with you, he's got all the leverage in the world, and his stock has never been higher. I know I've said that maybe there's a chance that the Nats don't trade him after all, but the longer this goes on and the more intense these talks, the chatter gets, I mean, I'm starting to think that his stock, if you're going to do it, you're never going to get a better return than you're going to get now.
The one difference, well, I guess you could compare this to the KD trade situation now.
Yeah, it's NBA meets MLB.
Yeah, but the one difference is KD has 4-year contract, and he just re-signed in the last offseason. Now, the Soto thing, first of all, MLB needs to get his shit together when it comes to the rookie deals. Because
just don't hold your breath waiting for that to happen.
No, but my point is, like, there's an age limit now that you can, or there's a certain amount of service time you could hold on to a rookie player, and then they have the power to do what they want.
Yeah, they manipulate service times, so technically they won't call you up so they can get an extra year of control.
Kind of like the Mariners situation from a couple of years ago.
Right, and my point is that's a problem. If MLB actually, and you know what? I'm going to pull it out because it's his fault. Okay? If we would fix the MLB service time rule where you are not allowed to keep players or force players down in the minors.
But now isn't there like an age limit where basically even if they don't complete the 6 years, they're eligible to get bonuses?
At least, bonuses, but they're still stuck under the control of the team. It's like that stupid thing they do in the NFL with the franchise tag. Think of the rookie deal as the franchise tag in MLB. You don't like the deal? Well, you get whatever the rookie salary is in baseball.
But I mean, looking at this from a big picture perspective, he's not the only. Like I said, like you could see in the lower third here, you've got other big pieces that could be moved. You could get Andrew Benintendi could be.
But
Frankie Montas, I've heard, could be on the move. Luis
Frankie Montas, yes.
But wait,
what?
But he's going to be the domino that's going to control the market.
He's going to again. He's the biggest. He's the biggest fish you can catch. But there's no slim pickings to be.
No. But he's the market setter.
Correct.
Yeah, he's the market setter.
Well, let me ask you guys a question because I was listening to John Boy earlier, and they were talking about he's talking specifically in the Yankees case, about maybe do you get Benintendi and then as like a safety net and see what happens with Soto. If you're a major league team, not just the Yankees guys, but any major league team, do you go after Soto right away and go on, or do you try and get one of these little safety nets like a Benintendi, or like you mentioned a couple weeks ago, Nick, an Ian Happ?
It's a tough one. I mean,
it's a tough call to make because even if you get Soto, the patches on the Yankees from the Yankees perspective, the patches on that team have still not been filled. They've been upgraded a ton if they get Soto, but again, you still need some bullpen help because
right. It goes to my opinion that I told you guys. Soto might be your bat, but you still need an arm.
Yeah, you still need an arm.
Here's the other problem you're going to have.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I'll let you go there.
Go ahead. I'll because I have to make a longer point.
That's why this might be, earn me a little, guns in my direct. I like Soto, but I think in terms of hitting ability, pitching ability, and he can technically play the outfield, and it's going to be a little harder to do because we don't know what's going on with the Angels, but maybe Shohei Ohtani might be a little more valuable to the Yankees to target than Juan Soto.
I mean, if he can be had though, now
the rumors are that the Angels are pulling him from the market. That we don't actually want to trade.
So they don't even know what they're going to do. So,
well, before we talk about Ohtani, because I think there's a whole set of issues there.
Mm-hmm.
The Juan Soto market is curiously different from a lot of the big names over the years. Like you've heard teams like the Padres who are willing to make a run at Juan Soto because they're willing to say, all right, we get him for 3 postseason runs and we could pair him up with Tatis. And think about that for a second. Tatis and Soto in the same lineup. That would be a heck of and Machado, like having a 3-4-5.
That they don't ask for Tatis in
they wouldn't do it. They wouldn't do it. But my point is, there's a much bigger market because of having him for 3 postseasons. There are teams that are going to be willing to take the chance and say, all right, we'll play that contract out, and then we'll let you walk in free agency. So that's the difference on Soto. For Ohtani, you have a whole run of issues when it comes to pitching and hitting, and the Angels are going to think they can basically buy all of Major League Baseball for Ohtani when, again, one, he's injury-prone, and you don't know what you're going to get. So it's 2 different things.
Well, let's talk about Benintendi's little cachet. It's that he is unvaccinated. So it doesn't sound too big of a deal, but the problem is if you're a team like the Yankees or you are any American League East team, it's going to be a problem when you have to, in August and September, go up to Toronto and play the Blue Jays.
And if it makes a difference, and if how you do, I mean, it's not necessarily that you might face the Blue Jays in the playoffs. It's the matter of if you don't do well in August and September, it could cost you home field advantage to the Astros, which is what you don't want.
Well, actually, you bring up the playoff, maybe from a Yankee perspective, but from the perspective of another team, like let's go with the Twins. They're on the cusp, right? They lead the AL Central.
They lead the Central, yeah.
So if you're the Twins and I don't know if they're actually on him. I'm just going to use an example. But if you're the Twins or another team in the American League that's on the cusp, and the Blue Jays end up making the playoffs and you draw them, and the games are in Toronto, that will come back to hurt you.
This rule has to be lifted for the postseason. It has to be listed.
It's not going to be because it's Canada's rule, not Manfred.
Well, Rob Manfred and his clown show organization, if you want to call it, need to step up and figure out how to get this fixed.
So before we go, we'll move Castellanos again because let's talk about the other elephant in the room. The St. Louis Cardinals are now the 3rd team in the last month or so to lose star players as a result of a lack of COVID-19 vaccine to their stars. For the Cardinals, particularly Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Aeronado, and Austin Romine. Goldschmidt, I don't know what Aeronado and Romine said. I know Goldschmidt has come out and said that basically the research that he's done, he feels the risk outweighed the reward.
Which is hilarious. But actually, I know the story about Aeronado because I was reading about it. Mm-hmm. And Nick, this might drive you crazy too. He's saying he wants to start a family. That's why he's not getting the vaccination.
Yes, but if the medical research that you've been doing is written by a guy whose only scientific expertise is getting horses to fuck, I wouldn't exactly trust them as an actual source in terms of epidemiology or vaccines or anything else other than, can you get horses to fuck? Trusting the wrong people is what's gotten us here. Thinking that anybody's an expert if they have the words DR in front of them is what's gotten us there. I mean, Jesus Christ. I mean, I do my own research. You know what? Do you have a medical degree? Did you go to college? No. So therefore, you don't know dick about dick.
Nick, you're welcome for next week.
I walked right into it again, didn't I?
You did. But what I was going to say is I want to be very careful with this headline, even though this is how it was written out, where it says, excuse me, that the Cardinals lost their players. What the headline should really say, and I'm not blaming anybody here, it should say players voluntarily chose not to be vaccinated, and that's why they can't go to Canada.
Again.
So,
go ahead.
So let's talk about this elephant room. It's the third time in the last month or so, because we had Benintendi, Michael Taylor, actually, and like 8 other Royals. Like half the Royals team couldn't go over.
You know what, though? The Royals deserve no royal treatment for the way that they're treating their organization. I said this to the guys last week. Because they're not in, and they're not in the playoff stretch, that's why they could give 2 fucks about what their organization is doing. If they were in the playoff race, they would have told their players, hey, morons, go get vaccinated so that we can play in Toronto.
It's more
Hold on
of
one second.
It's a Zen Riddle kind of thing, though. If half of you, if 10 people in your team don't show up to play in Toronto, but it's the Kansas City Royals, does anybody give a shit?
That's my point. The Royals,
Hold on
I don't
one
know.
second.
What?
No, you made a bad pun. I have to eject you. Rules are rules.
Leave him alone. Leave him alone.
My point is, wait, which pun are you talking about?
A royal treatment.
Oh, well, that's normal. Go ask Lord. It was really her pun first.
Hey,
My point is...
Hey, if you can't do the time, don't do the crime, man.
Oh, now you're going to steal SpongeBob references again? We
Exactly.
stole a balloon!
And they're going to lock us away forever.
My point is, this is all Rob Manfred, again, not being able to make the rules normal.
Now, here's going to be my take. The one defense I'm going to make about Rob Manfred is he is between a rock and a hard place. Again, it is Canada's rule. So let's look at it from this end. If he says at the end of the season, you know what? This is bullshit. I am tired of this. I don't want to deal with this anymore. All you players have to get vaccinated. Whether we are for it or against it, you know what's going to happen inevitably, right?
There's going to be
Players
lawsuits.
Association is going to sue, and we're going to be stuck in another MLB versus MLBPA thing, which technically we actually already are, thanks to the lack of a deal about an international draft.
I hate to say this, and you two might throw something at me, but if I were Rob Manfred, I would dig in and basically say, you're not willing to get vaccinated? We'll sit here and not play games until you get vaccinated.
You're really going to do that?
I would. And I would say, you're not, wait a minute. If you're not willing to get vaccinated, you don't get paid either.
Well, let's go to the flip of that. The other fear that some people might have is maybe he'll say to Toronto, guess what? Guess what, Blue Jays? Because, you are a Canadian organization, but because Major League Baseball is an American, we're going to force you to move back to the States until we get this figured out.
I said that last week.
But the problem with that, the Blue Jays are going to sue. I guarantee you the Rogers Center, which is going to lose business, is going to sue.
Well, that's...
And either the city of Toronto or the whole country of Canada will sue Rob Manfred.
Yeah, and you know what my answer to that is? It's a USA sport, okay? It's not like the NHL, which is, for the most part, based in Canada. If this was the NHL, you would have a whole different argument because most of it is in Canada. But MLB is mostly where? In the USA, okay? And Toronto needs to adjust to the rules if they want to be an MLB city. I'm serious.
Well, let's be real. Let's just be real. Something has to happen. This can't go on for next season.
You know what, though? Both sides are at odds anyway. The MLB and the MLBPA over a bunch of other things. It's not like we wouldn't be used to another lockout situation if it happened.
Mm.
Am I wrong though? Like we almost went through a huge lockout.
I know. I almost
but
didn't watch baseball this
bring it up.
season.
You had to bring it up though.
I almost lost the ability to watch this Yankee season because I said I wasn't going to watch if we didn't get a full season.
I'll give you a sick statement out of my mouth right now. If Rob Manfred actually were to, again, dig his feet in and force players to get vaccinated and would stop games because of it, I would actually respect him as a commissioner. I would.
I'm just going to leave it with one thing here, fellas. I think it calls for it.
Well, you know what? Vince has got a lot of free time now, so
yeah, Vince, you have the free time.
Now's your chance, Vince.
I'm just saying, there's no way for this to be 100%. Like you're just going to be putting Band-Aids over everything because there's no way to please each side. There isn't.
All right, let's go to. Speaking of jabbering, let's go to Nick Castellanos. So, guys, Nick Castellanos isn't having a good year. He's a meme, but he's only hitting what 245.
Yeah,
the Phillies aren't exactly in a great spot.
Which is strange because he tends to hit the home runs in bad spots.
I see one going out that direction. I see it right now.
Is that him or is that the reporter he was about to punch?
No, it's probably the reporter.
So what happened was after a recent game between the what was it, the Phillies and the
It doesn't matter. It's not the point. It's just that it was
loss. All I know is the Phillies lost.
It was a
loss.
It was a loss, and he's having a bad year.
So the reporter decided to not necessarily get in his face, but
did you hear the boos?
Did you hear the boos? People booing him because he had been booed a couple at bats during that game, and of course, do we have audio of that?
I do, but we have video of it. We have the whole thing. Actually, you know what? You want me to put that up now? I have it right here.
Yeah, let's do it.
Take a listen because you'll see what happens.
Did you hear the boos there when we struck out and they played the game there?
No, man, I lost my hearing.
So you didn't hear it?
Come on, man, it's a stupid question.
Why is that a stupid question?
Can anybody else answer that for him? Anybody? Yeah, man, that's a stupid question.
It's not a stupid question. If it's a stupid question, you should be equipped to answer it.
All right. I did answer it.
All right. The answer, you should be able to handle a stupid question.
We got the answers. That doesn't mean that I can't say that it's a stupid question.
It wasn't a stupid question. It's a legit question.
If I heard the boos, that's a rhetorical question. Of course it's a stupid question.
Did you hear the boos?
That's a stupid question.
We got the answer. We're good. Thanks, guys.
Then you should be able to handle a stupid question.
I did.
So, the name of the reporter is Jim Salisbury, I think is the guy's name.
He
works
covering the Phillies for years. I think he's like 20 years a Hall of Fame baseball writer.
I think it was NBC Philadelphia or Comcast Philadelphia.
I know the video. The video footage was from the ABC affiliate, but I believe he's a reporter at the NBC affiliate.
And if you really want to have a dugout reporter get his haunches up, just question a question he said.
So he's a Phillies insider for NBCS Philly, 13 years. So he's been around doing this for a long time. I mean, but here's the problem. And I discussed this with the guys. Both sides were wrong here. Okay. One was the question could have been asked a different way.
The question definitely could have been phrased.
Here's how you should have phrased that question. Did you hear the boos? Like, I understand where he's saying it's stupid, but what is your response to the fans booing you or something along those lines?
Yeah.
It sounded like a little biased the way he was asking that question. If you think about it,
it sounded like he was almost making fun of him.
No, actually,
he's trying to goad him into something.
Yeah,
which you should not be doing as a reporter.
That's it. That's right. He looked like he was. And lately, now back when we were in school and we were taking broadcasting or journalism, like we were taught that you ask either open-ended questions or professional questions so that you get a proper response. What they're teaching today, and unfortunately, because I know it from my schools where I went, is that they're now saying, hey, ask a question that's going to basically piss off whoever you're talking to get a viral moment. That's the wrong approach of talking to an athlete or someone important.
And the mistake is assuming that he hadn't heard it, or I'm sure he knew that Castellanos had heard it. I'm pretty sure he was just looking for a reaction there.
But that's not the point, Nick. Castellanos, first of all, acted inappropriately in answering the question.
I mean, yeah, he did. He did. I mean, you didn't have to. Can somebody? It's like he wanted to say, "Are you an idiot?" But he took
the teacher's approach. Can anybody
can anybody answer that question for
Nick?
That never happened to you when you were in school. That's the worst feeling in the world.
Nick, that was him essentially saying you're an idiot.
Yeah, he was trying to say you're an idiot without actually saying you're an idiot.
It's funny. It's funny. Bryce Harper's in that locker room 10 years ago. He said that was a clown
question, bro.
I was waiting for Nick to say that.
But the difference is when Harper made that response, it was to a question of, because Canada, the drinking age is 18, so he was allowed to drink. That was a funny question. That was good. Silly. That was a silly question. This is not a silly moment.
But you know what? Excuse me. Castellanos kind of made it worse by every time going. Absolutely. Because if you ever learned anything when you talk to a reporter or somebody, you don't goad the reporter on to keep asking you more questions. Rookie mistake by Castellanos, because the reporter has nothing to lose. He's getting content for whatever network he's working for.
Although the reporter also got a little testy and looked like he was trying to get in the face, which you can't do.
And by the way, whoever that media person is for the Phillies is an asshole. The one who kept trying.
He's trying to do his job. He's trying to diffuse the situation.
He's trying to make sure that Castellanos.
If he wasn't there, they would have came to blows.
No. But I'm saying is if you saw him, he was looking to push the reporter back like it was his fault. In that case, you have to push both parties back, not just saying, "Oh, well, it's the reporter's fault." Both sides are at blame here.
At fault, you mean?
Well, right. That's what I mean. They're both at fault. They both get blamed for this.
I mean, one is more at fault than the other, but yeah, you're.
Are you saying the reporter's more at fault than Castellanos?
I mean, but Castellanos has gotten training about the way he's supposed to respond to these kinds of questions.
Okay, and I think I said this last week as well. When the NFL athletes, when they sign their contracts, it says in the contracts you're obligated to be professional with the media. And I'm guaranteeing you, Emma.
They even have media, not literacy courses, but
training
sessions to how to speak to people correctly.
Right, but that's more for
that. But
that's more if you want to become a broadcaster, though. That's what those courses are for.
I'll leave it at this. I was, as you guys know, a very big advocate last offseason. I said, you know what? Maybe the Yankees should go after Castellanos because of Judge's expiring contract. He would not have survived New York. They dodged the bullets.
Because the minute a Post reporter says something even slightly critical of him, he is. Well, first of all, he's got that guy's neck in a ringer.
If
this situation was bad,
if he were a Yankee or a Met, and the Post had one of those headlines, making fun of him because he isn't doing well, he would have burnt that copy of the Post in the locker room.
He probably would have. Or, at least created a crude effigy of that reporter and burned it at the stake.
I mean, can you imagine if this happened in the Yankee locker room? This would have been worse.
I mean, I don't have to imagine. It did. That's what happened when A-Rod was here.
No, but, that was a whole different situation because A-Rod was a walking clown show.
All right. So one more baseball story I want to talk about. For the first time since he was banned by Major League Baseball, Pete Rose will appear on a Major League Baseball field. So, the Phillies basically are going to be celebrating the 1980 World Series team because obviously they couldn't do their anniversary celebration in 2020 because of COVID and no fans. So they're going to get their treatment this year. And as part of it, Pete Rose will appear. Apparently, Rob Manfred signed off on, gave the thumbs up, said, yeah, he can come in. And I didn't realize this, guys. He reapplied for a reinstatement for the Hall of Fame and such once under Manfred in 2015, Manfred's first year. And he hasn't reapplied since. Which
why?
Because he's saying F you baseball.
Well, no, well that, but Rob Manfred doesn't take shit from anybody at all. So I guarantee you, before even he reapplies ever, he's got the thought planted in his brain that he's one of those non-Pete Rose guys, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
Where it's never going to happen. It doesn't matter.
No, I get it.
It doesn't matter if Pete Rose like rescued a village in Africa. He wouldn't let him back in.
I mean, the fact that he's stepping on a baseball field that's got to count for something. No,
I think that's a step. It's not going to, like you said, Nick, it's not going to lead to him in the Hall of Fame. It's not going to happen for a long time, but it's a step.
The one thing I will say that's wrong, that Manfred and when Sealy was commissioner was wrong too, let him be on the field. Don't let him be involved in any of the stuff. But I'm saying is let him go to games, let him be involved. Just don't let him get involved in any teams. But I don't know. The MLB's messed up. We know this.
All right. We were going to originally start the next sport off with basketball. We're going to go to football because let's talk about this Kyler Murray contract. So, yes, Kyler Murray and the Cardinals, despite all of the off-the-field drama over the past year, Murray scrubbing, if you guys remember months back, Murray scrubbing all the Cardinals stuff from his social media. They have shaken hands now on a 5-year, $230.5 million contract. But the thing about this contract that's gotten everybody's attention in the last few days is this little homework clause. So I'm just going to take this right from Sports Illustrated. Basically, what this is that Murray, this is an addendum this is an independent study addendum, which I'm actually taking that term from Ian Rappaport of NFL Network. Murray is required to spend 4 hours per week during the season reviewing material provided to him by the club outside of his mandatory meetings. If Murray doesn't do his homework, he would be deemed in default of his contract and could lose out on guaranteed money.
Well, did you hear what the actual number was? 4 hours a week. That's his obligation. Now, here's the deal. I heard that technically that's a fireable clause if he doesn't follow the 4 hours a week.
Is that a minimum or is that minimum. What they're asking him to do?
Minimum. If they're asking him to do 4 hours a week, so an hour a day, basically, of training leading up to the game.
So, ladies and gentlemen, I didn't know that, by the way, before Tom.
So, what's your initial thought?
So my initial thought is, wow, they really must not trust him. And B, this had to have been a problem beforehand. And that is probably the reason why he scrubbed all his Cardinals stuff off his Instagram. It's like,
okay, wait a minute. Okay, hold on. I want to address the whole thing, even though we addressed this a way back. The whole thing with scrubbing an Instagram account is so childish. You have no idea. Well,
apparently they're treating him like a child and telling him to do his homework.
No, but it's childish. This whole thing is the Cardinals are acting in a childish manner because Kyler Murray acted in a childish manner.
I'm going to go to my students and say, hey, see, even quarterbacks have to do their homework.
Yeah. Well, that's what you say.
You have let the bag in for the teachers. You have given the teachers an avenue now.
The one thing I was going to say is how much
You should be thanking him.
I was going to say, how much homework does it take to be mobile with your feet? Not much.
Well, yeah, but that's exactly it. Apparently, they thought it's a big problem, and it's the big thing holding him back from being great.
Well, guys, you know what this reminds me of? Remember the story that came out in 17 or 18 about Jamarcus Russell, the infamous first-round bust of the 2007, I think it was, draft from the Raiders, that basically they gave him tapes to watch, and he said when he told them it was something about plays, I forget what the exact phrasing was, but in reality, those tapes were blank.
They were blank, yeah. And you know what? I look at this story when it came out, and one, because I haven't done it yet, because it's one giant joke.
In fact, that's probably what's on the tape. just that song on a loop.
But my point is, a homework clause, is it football or is it school?
Apparently, They had to turn football into school for him to be considered great in their eyes.
Well, let me ask you something. If Kyler Murray was not there right now, what would the Cardinals be?
Well, considering that you're not going to have DeAndre Hopkins for 6 games.
6, yeah.
6 games.
Backwards.
Not too much.
So let's put it this way. Kyler Murray had all the leverage in this situation. Whether the Cardinals are willing to admit that or not is a whole different issue. Is he worth $46 million a year? Hell no.
Well, remember, you talk about leverage, though. The team did kind of try to make it up to him by getting Marquise Hollywood Brown from the Ravens, who actually is going to be starting training camp on the NFI list.
Right. And see, the whole thing is he's not worth $46 million, but here's how the NFL works. And most people who are fans don't get this. Either you're a yes or a no team. And what I mean by yes or no team is either you have a quarterback that you can compete with, or you don't have a quarterback and you fail and you go 3-14 and you miss the playoffs. You need a quarterback. I'll even throw another one at you. Minnesota with Kirk Cousins. Is Kirk Cousins the best option? No. But does Kirk Cousins get to the playoffs every year? Yes.
Not every year.
Almost every year.
They've had years where they've gotten to the playoffs.
But who are you starting if Kirk Cousins is not there?
Well, are you going to be making a trade for Jimmy G? I mean, that is the other big news, or part of the news and notes. Jimmy Garoppolo has basically been granted permission to seek a trade. Who knows, maybe by the time this episode finishes, that Jimmy Garoppolo will have been traded.
He may be gone.
Trey Lance should have been starting a long time ago there.
Well, apparently they're a little iffy with Trey Lance, and he's got some development issues or something.
What quarterback that comes out of college doesn't have development issues going from college to the NFL?
And that's exactly it. I mean, is the tape the difference? You can watch 24 hours of tape. You can watch 48 hours of tape. You can eat the tape. when it comes to, do you got it or do you not have it? Can you play or can you not play?
You know what? We should just ask Aaron Rodgers what he thinks.
Oh, shut up.
No, because according to the Aaron Rodgers theory, we should all just relax and we'll actually play better.
Oh, yeah. And what's the tape he's watching? Old episodes of The Bachelor?
Well, or he's too busy watching feet videos.
No, he's too busy. No, you know what he's doing? He's too busy watching videos of himself when he hosted Jeopardy.
Hey, you know what? He could be making a lot of money doing that right now.
Come on, everybody knows what a credenza is, you dumb shits.
Well, there's no double jeopardy here.
All right, this one's not a funny story. Texans rookie wide receiver John Mechie III has announced that he probably won't be playing in this 2022 season because he has come down with leukemia.
Yeah, this is actually a very well, if I may, I mean, he does have the form of leukemia that he has developed is
treatable.
It's curable. It's treatable. So we're hoping at least that he'll have to take this week off and he'll be able to be strong enough. First of all, that he'll beat this, and then he'll be strong enough to come back and play in 2024. So 2023.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how time works anymore.
That's COVID for you.
Yeah, it's COVID for you, but he actually did have a lot of talent. So that is really it's a really rough story. It really is.
But you know what? This is probably more for protection, not playing, not because
absolutely.
Yeah, especially with COVID circulating the way it is, and he's immunocompromised already since he has leukemia. So
we are seeing guys, like, I have to say, we're seeing a lot of preseason injuries already that I don't like. Chris Carson now is retired because of a neck injury.
And you know what?
Yeah, he did. You're right.
I have to give Seattle credit on that front of that story, first of all, because they got him the injury benefit.
Mm-hmm.
Because they could have just said, screw you, we're not dealing with this. But
they said, we owe it to you to help you out. And the other note, guys, Julio Jones is now Tampa Bay Buccaneer. I know he didn't play really anything last season, but Godwin, Evans, and Julio Jones on the same team.
Yeah, that's insane.
So I guess they're trying to get him a new toy to play with, other now that Gronkowski's retired.
Wait a minute, are they partying like it's 2010 all over again?
They're getting,
For a second there,
they're
I thought
getting him
I had
Kyle
time
Ru-
travel.
they're getting Kyle Rudolph. They're getting Tom Brady, Julio Jones. They are just going to let Brady have his way.
Is there a chance that Tom Brady actually does think it's 2010?
Well, maybe Brady Tom traveled from the future to the past and wanted to say hi.
What is he, a Terminator? I understand he's not human, but
But by the way, and we haven't done this in a long time, I have a little piece of breaking news for as we're recording right now.
Okay.
So it has to do with the Arizona Cardinals.
Oh, no.
So, and this is from Adam Schefter. When it rains, it pours. The Arizona Cardinals are dealing with water-damaged hotel rooms for 15 members of their organization.
Can I kick Adam Schefter? I know he's not in our podcast. Can I kick Adam Schefter out for that one?
and that's worth talking about. So what is it? That's breaking news. What is it? What, the Motel 6 forgot your continental breakfast?
Well, knowing Adam Schefter makes $9 million a year, I don't think he's eating there.
So we got the Cardinals dealing with basically a quarterback they view as a child who isn't going to do his homework. Their hotels are leaking.
Hold on, I'll sum it up.
Well, Empty the Bench takes a trip to the circus that is the Arizona Cardinals, and well, this is going to be a fun season to watch now, isn't it?
Isn't it? Oh God! Just buckle up, everybody. Just gird your loins. It's going to be fun.
Well, we do have one more football story to talk about, but it doesn't involve the NFL. Ladies and gentlemen, the 8 teams for the XFL have officially been announced.
3 of them in Texas. 3 of them in Texas.
Yeah, so there's no New York team, and 3 of them are in Texas. It's going to be, let me pull up here, Arlington, Texas, Houston, Texas, Orlando, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada, San Antonio, Texas, Seattle, Washington, St. Louis, Missouri, and Washington, D.C. And I think Arlington's actually where their headquarters are also going to be.
So let's see if this one lasts, eh, folks?
Well, let's be clear, because we kind of even saw more hints of it when The Rock's appearance at the SV Awards. And I think these cities and the lack of a New York team kind of this is not going to be a major league. They are promoting themselves as developmental. They are going to be where college people who are undrafted and don't get signed go to try to develop themselves. Anybody who gets cut during the NFL season may go there to get another shot. It's a developmental league. It is
the G League with a TV contract.
It is the G League. It is the NXT, to borrow from WWE.
They need to stop promoting this as a competitor league to the NFL. That's what The Rock keeps saying.
I'm sure that's what he wants to think.
It's never going to happen.
No, The Rock is not Vince McMahon, Nick. The Rock said it is a developmental league. He tried to partner with the CFL, if you remember.
Well, the CFL has no competition on the NFL, so that doesn't say much of what the partnership would be. But I don't know. Am I going to watch XFL games? No. I could care less. I don't care if The Rock turned on his head and spun backwards upside down like a disco move. I could care less.
He started breakdancing at midfield. You're telling me you wouldn't watch? I'd watch.
His halftime show was a joke.
I mean, maybe it was a little.
No. You know what his halftime show for the big championship game would be? It's The Rock, friends with Kevin Hart. Kevin Hart's going to do stand-up comedy for like half hour.
No, he's got to do it as the voice of the new Pets movie or whatever.
15 minutes worth of joke, and the punchline is always, "I'm short."
Or no, he just picks him up and puts him over his shoulder half the time.
Yeah, you know, if The Rock were part of the Arizona Cardinals, he'd do that with Kyler Murray.
It's a good point.
All right, let's make Nick mad now.
Oh,
let's talk about this Nets. So, of course, the Nets are trying to find the right deal to get to trade away Kevin Durant. They want picks. They want young players, and well, the Celtics made an offer that involved one Jaylen Brown, and the Nets went, yeah, no. Mr. Nets fan, could you explain this a little further?
Sorry, I was clearing my throat.
Ask why, but I think Cosmo summed it up for me pretty well.
My point is, Kevin Durant is Kevin Durant. As much as he's an egomaniacal maniac who only cares about himself, and I can't believe I'm about to say this, but I think he has a larger ego than LeBron James does. But my point is, Kevin Durant only cares about himself, and this deal makes no sense, first of all. You're telling me that the guy who's leading the package, Jaylen Brown, who's not even, and I hate to say this, and Jaylen Brown might throw something at me, he's not a 1A. Not a 1A. Sorry.
So can you clarify what the full deal was, if that ever came out?
I didn't see the full deal because I don't think it actually came out, but I saw it was Jaylen Brown, and maybe it was a role player or two and a bunch of picks. And the Nets want ready-made players. And there's a certain person who's off limits on their roster, who we all know is the star. And if he's not part of the deal, I would not make it.
The Celtics offered Jaylen Brown, guard Derek White, and a draft pick to the Nets for Durant. It doesn't say what the draft pick was.
Sorry. Yeah, that's pretty
Brooklyn
funny.
Brooklyn has asked Boston, to show you how far apart they were. Brooklyn asked Boston for Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart, draft picks, and potentially one more rotation player. That's how far apart they were.
So they weren't asking for you-know-who.
Well, you know what? What they asked for actually makes more sense.
What they asked for made more sense, but what kind of leverage do you have? Well, three kinds of leverage. Jack, dick, and nothing.
No, actually, you have a lot of leverage. Kevin Durant is under contract for 4 years.
Kevin Durant is under contract, but
do you see it as if...
are you really going to take the risk of him playing while he's unhappy?
Well, I was going to say, what if he tries to sit out all season? He's the kind of player to me that might just say, you know what, screw it, I'm not going to play until you trade me.
If he doesn't play, he doesn't get paid. Then the Nets don't have to worry about that money.
Again, that's what you would do. Is that what Josiah would do?
Is that what Adam Silver is going to allow? What's Adam Silver going to do?
Adam Silver has already come out and, first of all, like a doofus, because he's come out and basically said, well, unfortunately, we don't like when players ask out of their contracts. No, duh! No, duh!
But that's a problem, Nick. If you're because you're always trying to find out how, asking what they're thinking. But if you're asking what they're thinking, you need to think like they do.
No, but the media was asking him, and then he made a statement basically saying, well, we get annoyed when players ask out of the contracts. Okay, if you don't like it, make a rule that they can't force themselves out. This is really master of the obvious. Let me run the NBA. I could do it better than Adam Silver.
Really?
If I was running the NBA, I could get all these players to stay within their contracts, and we would have penalties if they tried to force themselves out.
Next month or 2 months soon, 2K23 comes out. I'd like to see how you'd run a team.
Well, that's not running a team. I'm talking about running the NBA.
Yeah,
well, you know what? Maybe we could get you involved in the Make-A-Wish program. So you could say, for one day, I want to own the Nets.
Well, let's not fool around with that, because the Make-A-Wish organization is for something else. But my point is, I could run this NBA better, because if I were in charge, I would say, look, you just signed a contract for $198 million in 4 years, and you're asking out after one season? No. You signed a contract for a reason. Why'd you sign it? You wanted the money, right? Yes. Then you figure it out. All of today's players are a bunch of cowards. They are.
This has been another Nets rant by Mr. Nick Morganson.
Welcome to that old basketball man yells at cloud.
For what?
You just say, you go, oh, today's players. Back in my day.
Well, no. I mean, I've been an NBA fan for a long time. But
back in my day, they went into the stands to beat the shit out of fans.
Well, I don't agree with that. but it might have been hilarious at the time.
If Michael Jordan wasn't kicking people in the nuts, it wasn't basketball.
You mean Dennis Rodman?
If
Dennis Rodman
was the one kicking people in the nuts.
I will say though that today's NBA is much softer than the NBA was back then.
Thank you for proving his point.
No, but it's true though. You're telling me that NBA players today, they can't take hits if their life depended on it.
You know, they always say you're as young as you feel. You're probably, I mean, you're talking like you're 70 years old at this point.
Nick, if you sneezed on Kevin Durant, he would fall over and flop.
All right. Can I just say, by the way, speaking of old school NBA and speaking of malice at the bottom, have you seen the new Detroit Pistons throwback?
I did see it.
Why are we calling what was trash back then so retro and cool looking now?
Because
the only team that could pull that off was the Charlotte Hornets. So
I don't agree with that. But my point is, I think what's happening is, and we're seeing this with TV shows during COVID, like all the old shows came back because all of a sudden, nostalgia, everyone's stuck inside. We need to watch the shows that made us feel great as kids or when our parents were kids.
Well, but I'm just saying, it's one thing, with the Giants, the NY and the Giants, doesn't really make too big of a difference to me. But the flaming horses with the pit, doesn't
that
look
was
great.
weird. Yeah, that was weird. I mean, that's just them trying to capitalize on a marketing strategy. That's really all that is.
It could be worse. It could be one of the 47 logos that the Utah Jazz have had.
It's a good point. I didn't think about it.
One other basketball story, which actually transcends into golf a bit. So Charles Barkley has come out and said that basically he is waiting for an analyst offer to jump from the NBA on TNT to join LIV Golf. He wants the money.
So Chuck saw those extravagant 7-figure deals, and he was like, "I need to get me some of that."
No, not 6, 7. Just say 7 because it's 7.
I mean the absurd, the sacrilegious amount of money that's being thrown around at this point.
Well,
I can't blame Chuck for wanting a piece of that.
Well, let's be real. Chuck just wants to get away from that knucklehead Shaq.
I mean, yeah. I mean,
First of all, Chuck doesn't have to work ever again in his life if he really wanted to.
I know he doesn't, but again, if LIV's offering more money than he ever as an analyst than he ever made as a player, why wouldn't he?
But wait a minute, and I don't know which one of you said it to me. Nick was the one who said it, where he's like, wait, is he going to play golf? And I said, no, they're going to use him as an analyst.
And my question then, as my question is now, what the fuck does Charles Barkley know about golf?
He was one of the worst golfers many years ago. And apparently he's working on his golf game, and apparently he's gotten better.
Don't they have him always covering the match every year?
Well, right, because some of the NBA players and the NFL players compete in the match. But
yeah, but that's like having Michael Jordan on Baseball Tonight.
Yeah, but Michael Jordan played baseball.
Could you imagine?
Not well.
Unless LIV is actually going to do a celebrity golf, its own celebrity golf tournament.
Wait a minute. They're talking about giving him 3 or 4 times the amount he's making now. He's making $20 million or something with TNT. So if he's going to run away for $60 or $70 million.
Yeah, watch though, Tom. You said that, and they'll offer Derek Jeter 7 figures to show up and play a couple holes.
Derek Jeter would never do that. Never.
I didn't think that Charles Barkley would pursue a career separate from basketball.
Actually, that's where you're wrong, because Charles Barkley has actually come out over the last couple months and said if there was a better offer money-wise, he would take the money and run.
Which, but again, though, it's not like Shaq where he had, the rap career or that weird 6-year with that weird couple-year period where Shazam thought where Shaq was
Shazam, Shaq Fu. You want to go through all the different failures?
Well, wait a minute. Shaq is a brilliant marketer. He made
exactly because Shaq the character is not Shaq the person.
No, but I'm saying is Shaq was a brilliant marketer to begin with. Look at all the different commercials: Carnival, Papa John's, Krispy Kreme. I mean, I could go on and on and on.
Epson computers,
right?
I could just imagine him in a commercial for Magnum condoms.
Icy Hot.
Icy Hot, of course.
Like, so he's been in the mall, and also like he owned like a piece of the Kings at one point. Now he's in gambling stuff. Like, this man, first of all, he can live off investments for the rest of his life.
And the people who cry sellout, and I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been guilty of saying that once or twice.
With him?
In fact, no, not in his specific thing, but they're calling you sellout. It's just that no one's buying what you're selling.
Wait a minute. Well, who are you calling a sellout?
I've been guilty of calling people sellouts and corporate whores for being in a lot of ads, but you know
Okay,
what?
like who though?
Cares anymore? Make your money.
Wait a minute. Give me an example though, because you're saying you've called people sellouts. Who are you saying?
Because I used to call Shaq that because he was everywhere. But you know what? The man's made absurd amounts of bank, and considering the way people make money, the things people do to make money in this world.
But wait a second,
is really not that bad a thing.
But the one difference between someone like a Barkley or someone like a Shaq, most of those offers were coming to Shaq. Shaq was not going to most of those.
Yeah. All I can think of now is Space Jam, where the scene with the SWAT, lace up your Nikes, we'll grab a Big Mac on the way to the game.
Grab your Wheaties and your Gatorade. We'll get a Big Mac on the way to the ballpark.
You know which company he would make a lot of money from? What's the name of that weird shaving company we were talking about?
Gillette?
Dollar Shave Company?
Dollar Shave Club?
No, the one that you shave down below. What was the name of that company?
Manscaped.
Can you imagine if Shaq would do the most creative commercial for a Manscaped? Can you imagine?
Hello, everybody. I'm Shaquille O'Neal. Would you like your nuts to look as shiny as my head? You need to go to Manscaped tonight.
I'm telling you, they would pay him like $100 million for that.
All right, we're gonna end the episode by making me angry.
Oh no! Wait a minute, Nick. Is that even a thing?
Oh, it's a thing, all right.
So, according to reports from the Sun, Daily Mail, basically the tabloids from across the pond, their versions of the Post and Daily News and such, Floyd Mayweather and Conor McGregor are in negotiations to potentially have a rematch of their boxing match from 5 years ago.
Hold on.
It's, ladies and gentlemen, this has to be some kind of grudge. This has to be some kind of grudge match because either Conor McGregor is waking up in a cold sweat saying, "I want to knock that bastard down," and it's just like, why did anybody ask for this?
Nick, wait a minute, Nick. I'll tell you why.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah,
so
nobody asked for this.
This might have to do with the fact that apparently Floyd has some sort, I don't know the full details, but has some sort of contract with the United Arab Emirates to have a match there or something.
Who cares?
Just set up a kiosk in the middle of the ring where he can play whack-a-mole for about 3 hours.
But who cares?
No,
you'll get the exact kind of entertainment value out of that.
No. Floyd playing Whack-A-Connor for 2 hours. The mole is dressed as Conor McGregor. But can I be honest with you? I absolutely agree. Who, like you said, who the hell cares? First of all, Floyd Mayweather, I mean, he last competed professionally in that last money fight with Conor. He retired in 2015, then came back for this little money fight. He's fought 2 exhibitions since, one against a kickboxer with boxing rules, and then the other was the freaking Logan Paul fight that ended in a draw just because he couldn't knock Logan Paul
And
out.
you said the day after that fight, we had an episode. You remember what you said?
The Floyd Conor fight was actually entertaining, more entertaining than I thought.
No, the Logan Paul fight.
That it was stupid.
Yeah, didn't you say something that it was an insult to combat sports?
Oh, yeah. Tom went off on a frenzy. That's the angriest Nick and I ever saw, Tom.
Hold on. There's more. Conor. Guys, who fucking cares about Conor these days?
I just said that. Yes.
Okay. Since he has not been the same fighter since that first Floyd fight. Since that first Floyd fight, he lost to Khabib. He had the infamous 2019 where he got arrested all those times. He beat Cowboy Cerrone, who was old and washed up and didn't really.
Who no one cares about.
That's not. I care about him, but got back. Cowboy was past his prime. Then ever since then COVID hit, so we barely got any of him. And then last year he lost to Poirier twice. That second time he broke his leg in the octagon.
I remember
He's won one time in the last since winning that lightweight title in 2016, and that one time was at welterweight. In terms of the weights he actually competes at, 0. He has not won since. Why are we going to care? I get it, because since Conor's made his money and his drawing power and such, all he's ever good for now is money fights, and they're going to be some money fights, and I get that, but I mean, come on. If you're going to do something in terms of, trying to come back and do a stupid money fight with somebody else who, we don't really care about, fight freaking Masvidal, who's on a 3-fight losing streak and needs one money fight.
Actually,
so basically the first 15 minutes of Rocky 3. Is that his life now?
Pretty much. My point is, and I'm glad you brought Masvidal's name up. Is it ironic, by the way, that those were the two guys that were really popular like months ago when we were talking?
I think they're a perfect matchup for each other. And by the way, like the Sun, I know the Sun sometimes is over there, but to give credit, they kind of realized that this is only rumor because remember, Conor's still under UFC contract. They have to get permission from Dana White to do this, and Dana White has already come out years ago and said, "No, I'm not dealing with Showtime and Floyd and all of them again."
So he doesn't like money. You're saying that
he just doesn't want to. He likes money, but he wants to do it by himself. He doesn't want to deal with Showtime and Floyd.
By the way, and I know we're going a little off topic here, can you explain to me the $250,000 gift he gave?
No.
Do you know why at all?
No, and it spits in the face of fighters who are struggling with the 10,000 to show and 10,000 to win.
Wasn't that like his nephew or something? Apparently,
the Nelk brothers or whatever they're called.
Like apparently, it was like a birthday gift, and like it was in like one of those bags you take to a bank.
Yep.
And I was like, "What
the Nelk boys or whatever they're called?"
So you're giving them $250K, but you're spitting in the face of fighters who work hard every day?
Welcome to the UFC, Nick.
No, I get it. It's just weird, but I don't know. But I don't know. Did we make it to the end of the show?
Yes, we have.
And by the way, actually, you should promote off that story.
Okay, so I should, going off of that. Myself and Zambando, who used to write with me at Fansided, him and I are going to be doing a show this coming week. I believe it's going to premiere on Friday at 9 a.m., 1 hour before the UFC 277 weigh-ins. It is the MMA Outsiders. It is the newest show here on the Empty the Bench podcast network.
Woo!
We'll be breaking down fights and cards, talking all the biggest headlines in the world of mixed martial arts. It should be a pretty fun time.
Wow,
can't wait to see it.
We tried to, I'm trying to remember from way back in the beginning, we started the network, you tried to do a show. What was it? Was it WWE or was it UFC MMA really?
So actually years ago, I used to do Combat Mania, which was everything.
Oh my God. I remember that from back in the day. I just remember the scheduling didn't work out for that. But that
was wild. Yeah. But this is going to be myself and Zan. Zan's a great guy, a very knowledgeable mind. He's a excellent young MMA writer like myself. So this is going to be a very little fun experience, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. So this week is going to be like our other new show, Fruity Cereal. So this week is going to be an episode 0. It's going to be more of an introduction for all of you guys to get to know us and for us to work out some kinks. And next week we will go into our full normal schedule, which will be, I believe it's going to be every Wednesday at 9 a.m.
So
right.
I shouldn't do the Flaming Hatchets bit because I was going to ship them over to your house.
No. No. Nick, you should also talk about Fruity Cereal, our other newest show here.
Oh, yeah, that's right. So Fruity Cereal started, I'm losing my dates at this point. So it came out this week, Monday.
Yes.
That was episode 1. It did well.
Last week was episode 0. They had their own introduction.
Right. And it's the best way to describe it is it's LGBTQ plus community podcast, but they talk about everything There were some great topics, and Nick, I'm sure you'd love. They did a topic on worst candy, figuring out if someone is a serial killer based on their favorite or worst candy.
Which
It is.
I've heard of podcasts go off the rails. I mean, we've been a part of them. We've been making them for 5 years. But this is, I mean, I don't know what those guys are on, but I want some.
And also, they talked about Tickle Me Elmo.
So it's fun for everybody.
It's fun for the friends and family.
Maybe
And
not
that-
the family.
Well, you might be right, but that's Monday at 9 a.m. Every Monday at 9 a.m.
So plenty of good stuff coming here to the Empty the Bench Podcast Network. So make sure to like us, make sure to subscribe, and ring that bell so you get notifications for all of our network shows.
Ring the bell!
Also, thank you to our sponsor, as always, Knack. Make sure to order your Knack Sling Bag today. Use the link in the description below. Free shipping, FREE shipping. Who doesn't like free shipping?
Who doesn't like free shipping? And by the way, I'm going on a trip
With your Knack
today
Bag.
with my Knack Bag. So my Knack Bag is coming with me today.
You're going to look stylish and it'll carry everything. So you're going to look stylish. You're going to look great with your Knack Bag, and it's always convenient for you.
A lot of pockets.
Because what kind of bag life is it?
It's a
A
one bag life.
life. For
Exactly.
us. All right. Make sure to also follow us across social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram at ETB Sports. Follow Network, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at ETB Network. And make sure you'll see it on the bottom here, our own personal handles for myself, Nick, and Nick. So make sure to follow us there. And that's going to do it. So for Nick Morganson, Nick Federa, I am Tom Albano, and we will see you next time on Empty the Bench. Take care, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.